Good morning and happy Veterans Day. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the posting of the colors and remain standing for the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, it is my honor to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Stephen Robleski.
Thank you, Mrs. Cushing. Well, good morning to our student body, faculty, staff, our guests from Dimmitt Grade School, and most importantly, our honored veterans. Today, we are here to express our deepest gratitude and respect for the brave men and women who have served and continue to serve our nation with unwavering dedication. Veterans Day is not just a day off from school or work. It is a day to recognize the sacrifice, courage, and selflessness of those who have worn the uniform to safeguard our freedoms. And it is important and appropriate when we devote time from the school day for a community celebration to take a moment to talk about why Veterans Day is significant. Veterans Day was originally known as Armistice Day. This observance was established on November 11th, 1919, at that time to commemorate the end of World War I, at that time thought to be the war to end all wars. The armistice, or the end of the fighting on the Western Front in Europe, took effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. A year later, Armistice Day was proclaimed to honor the veterans of World War I and later expanded to include all veterans. In 1954, following the end of the Korean War, Armistice Day was officially renamed Veterans Day. Now, unlike Memorial Day in May, which specifically honors those who have died in military service, Veterans Day celebrates all veterans, living and deceased, who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Over the years, Veterans Day has become a symbol of national unity and gratitude. It is a day when we recognize the sacrifices made by our servicemen and women, a day to express our appreciation for the freedoms we enjoy, thanks to their dedication and bravery. As we sit here in Sellett Gymnasium, it is important to understand that the freedoms we often take for granted were defended by generations of veterans. Veterans Day is not just a historical event. It is a living tribute to the individuals who have shaped our nation's history and secured the liberties we hold dear. On this Veterans Day, let us honor the past and present heroes who have worn the uniform. Their legacy is woven into the fabric of our nation, and it is our responsibility to carry it forward. As we express our gratitude, let us also recognize the enduring spirit of sacrifice and service that defines Veterans Day. To our veterans, we say thank you. Thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment to the ideals that make the United States of America strong. May the history of Veterans Day inspire all of us to be grateful for the freedoms we enjoy and to strive for a future that upholds the principles for which our veterans so bravely fought. Happy Veterans Day, and may we always honor and remember the heroes who have made our way of life possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Orlowski, for your patriotic words. At this time, I would like to introduce our concert choir under the direction of Mrs. Natalie Faruqi. They will perform for us, God Bless America. MSgt Brian Layhew. While our students and staff may know him as our aviator instructor, our guest of honor has many other accomplishments that he will share with us today. He has earned the title of Master Sergeant as he has served for 23 years in the United States Air Force. During that time, he has completed 5 deployments to the Middle East, including tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen, I am most honored to present to you our guest of honor and speaker, Mr. Brian Layhew. Please give him a warm happy welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Very, very good to be here. It is truly my honor. Mrs. Cushing, Dr. Blesky, thank you so much. This is truly a very honorable occasion, and I will never forget this. So, good morning, veterans. Good morning, students. Good morning, faculty. It is an honor to be here. My name is Master Sergeant Brian Layhew. And of all the veterans that are here with us today, I am the most recently retired veteran. After 23 years of service, my final day in the United States Air Force was October 2nd of this year. So I've been out for about a month, and I can tell you I already miss it every day. For those of you who don't know me, as Mrs. Cushing said, I am the ACC Aviation Instructor. And for those of you who have not picked up on it yet, I'm kind of an aviation buff. It's kind of my thing. So this job fit me absolutely perfect. When Mrs. Cushing asked me to speak to you today, I had about 1,000 things go through my mind. And my mind also went blank, all at the same time. So I know that absolutely none of that makes sense, so bear with me. After a little bit of thought, though, I just decided that I'm going to tell you about myself, and maybe something magically is going to fall out of my mouth, and it'll make a connection with some of you. So moving forward, one of the things I'm going to do, which I promised myself I wouldn't do when I got up here, is I'm going to deviate from my speech. Because something hit me this morning as I was sitting here that I realized I didn't put in here. So my aviation students are right up here against the wall. And gentlemen, every takeoff is, and every landing is, you better believe it. Every takeoff is optional, and every landing is mandatory. That was a saying that was driven into my head from day one of flight school. It's not only because of bad weather or a possible problem with the aircraft or something like that makes the takeoff optional, but this can also be applied to everyday life. Every decision you make is optional, but every landing is mandatory. Every consequence is mandatory. Something is always going to happen as a result of the decisions that you make. Maybe not today, maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even next year, but you will make a decision that is going to be a turning point in your life. And at that point in time, there's going to be a consequence. So I want you to always think about your decisions and be the best professional and make the best decisions that you possibly can. So as it's been mentioned several times, I served the United States Air Force for over 23 years. And so what happened during those 23 years? Okay, I'll bring you up to speed. I went to boot camp at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. It was difficult because I was taken out of my comfort zone. Instead of hanging out with my friends on Friday night doing stupid stuff and driving around, I was cleaning bathroom floors with a toothbrush. I'm sure some of the veterans here can relate to that. I was also making sure that my uniforms in my locker were exactly 6 inches apart as they hung on their hangers, so that way my drill sergeant did not kill me. Speaking of the drill sergeant, my particular drill sergeant, he broke me down and absolutely rebuilt me. You see, when I joined the Air Force, I had zero direction in my life. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about education. I didn't care what happened to anyone. I didn't know what my career was going to be. And guess what? I didn't care. My drill sergeant made me take pride in myself. He made me take pride in my work. He made me never want to settle for less than absolute perfection. He will never know this, but he saved me. I hated him the entire time that I knew him, but it turned out that he and God brought me to where I am standing today. Early in my career, I started flying the C-130 Hercules. For those of you who don't know what the C-130 is, it's a giant cargo airplane that you see hauling big equipment. We were also able to open up the back end of the airplane in flight, and the Army guys would jump out. As an Air Force guy, I preferred to stay inside a perfectly good airplane instead of jumping out. It just seemed safer that way. Anyways, the C-130 is the workhorse of the Air Force. After 9/11, I was deployed to the Middle East twice in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was at LUD Air Base in Qatar when they caught Saddam Hussein, and they brought him there. I saw him get off of one of our aircraft, and they took him to the base prison, the base for bad guys. During the deployment, I was in over 30 countries. My life was a blur, and I lived out of a suitcase. The C-130 took me to places that I never thought I would ever see or be part of operations that I only dreamed of. One of my greatest accomplishments was flying President Karzai, the president of Afghanistan, to the site of a mass grave. With extreme sadness, he surveyed the land and gave words of hope and inspiration to those around him. He then got back onto my aircraft and we flew him back to Kabul. The entire story made it into 3 different books. 2 of the books are social studies books, and the 3rd book is called It Didn't Play in Peoria, which is a book about people from Peoria, Illinois, who have done amazing things that you've maybe never heard of. For 18 years, the C-130 ruled my life, and then something happened. I was selected to fly the MQ-9 Reaper. The MQ-9 Reaper is the world's most lethal aerial predator. Equipped with 4 Hellfire missiles and 2 laser-guided bombs. We bad. For the last 5 years of my career, I was part of operations that involved a lot of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, also known as spying. I'm sorry, I can't give you the specifics of the things that I saw, but I can tell you this: if you're having a bad day, I promise you, somebody else is having a worse one. Over the course of 23 years and 5 deployments to the Middle East, the most memorable things in my soul were honestly never the mission or the task at hand. It was the people. I've made friends all over the world and had some of the best experiences of my life. Military personnel have a certain way of making the best of a bad situation. I can tell by the smiles just out here in the crowd. Management, like anywhere else, is usually horrible. Since we're paddling the same boat, let's enjoy ourselves. Even in the middle of Afghanistan, if that's possible. I could honestly look at you today and tell you that it is the people that I served with that I am the most proud of. So with that having been said, I'd really like to throw a couple of things out there because I think there's a disconnect between today's youth and the veterans in this room. We don't understand each other. This is plain and simple. We didn't grow up dyeing our hair aqua and guys wearing fingernail polish. Don't read this wrong, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. As I heard Junior say as I walked in this morning, you do you, boo. We get a bad rap for not understanding that stuff, so we ask for your patience. A fighter pilot's aircraft is equipped with an ejection seat. So please be patient with us when you're at an air show and you ask the pilot, where's the button for the yeet seat? We don't understand the verbiage, and we don't mean any offense. I can tell you this, though. We don't understand today's fashion and verbiage, but we do understand how much this country means to us. We understand how important it is that you get to dye your hair any color of the rainbow that you so choose. We understand how important it is for you to come and go as you please, live your own life, and to make your own decisions. If we didn't understand these things, none of us would be sitting up here today. So with all that having been said, we appreciate you. We wrote a check to the United States government payable up to and including our own lives because it means something. The ones that you see up here today are the lucky ones. Others who weren't so lucky are the ones that paid the ultimate price. We ask in return that you do us a favor. Be proud of this country. Be proud of who you are, and don't let anyone take that away from you. We're scared to death for all of you, because we are living in some extremely unprecedented times. The world today is completely different than it was 23 years ago, and 23 years before that, and 23 years before that. We want you to know that you are worth it. You are smart. You are bright. And now please, for the love of God, be proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your inspirational words and your insights, and most importantly, thank you for serving our country. Could everyone please join me in giving Mr. Layhew another thank you for his service? As the LPHS principal, I have the distinct honor to introduce our distinguished veterans and active service members who have joined us here today. In most ceremonies, you are often asked to hold your applause until all of the names have been called. But given the tremendous sacrifice these individuals have made, I think it would only be appropriate to forget about that concept and to applaud for each individual's name as they are called to show our respect. Veterans and active service members, please stand to be honored when I call your names. Roy Alexander, Army. Amy Arthur, Army. Gerald Vassador, Marine Corps and Army. Fran Baker, Navy. Ricky, Air Force. John Riva, Army. John Schweikert, Army. Gary Setters, Navy. Matthew Schonk, Army. Kenneth Stashik, 8 Army. LPHS staff member Molly Taylor, Navy. LPHS staff member Brent Thomas, Air Force. LPHS staff member Gerald Walter, Army. Krista Westerman, Air Force. Dan Wilcoxon, Army. Matt Wojcik, Army. John Wolf, Navy. And Dan Zanecki, Air Force. Thank you again to all of our veterans who may be seated at this time. At this time, our symphonic band will be playing the Salute to America's Finest to honor each of our branches of the armed forces. In tribute to our defenders of freedom and liberty, actively seeking here or abroad, and those who have ever in the past taken the oath of enlistment or put on the uniform, this medley stands in testament along with the hearts of a grateful nation. We would ask our veterans and active service members to stand during the playing of their service song. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise for a moment of silence to honor the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country. Today, we salute those who lost their lives from the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guards with a moment of silence followed by the playing of taps. You may be seated. As this program draws to a close, I would like to personally thank all of those among us who, despite the risk and sacrifice, raised their hand to defend this beautiful country. Our veterans, active duty service members, guardsmen, and reservists. Your service has helped to keep this country and its citizens safe and free. Let's also take a moment to acknowledge those families of service members and veterans who helped to shoulder the weight of war and burdens of sacrifice. To the mothers, fathers, spouses, and children of our military men and women, thank you as well. Your love, support, and resilience are the backbone of this nation, and that too must never be forgotten. Thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time today to honor our heroes. On behalf of Salle-Peru Township High School, we wish you a wonderful Veterans Day. For all of those who are veterans and active service members, we would ask that you stay a little bit longer with us to enjoy refreshments in our student commons. For those of you, though, who are students, thank you for your attendance, but it is now time to follow your teacher's directions and return to class. We hope everyone has a very happy Veterans Day. Thank you again for coming.